So before I go into this video, I just wanted to state that I'm going to try my very best to be cordial and not jump off the fucking handle on this, because this video pissed me off so much that it's fucking hard to refute this in a polite manner, but I'm going to try my best, my very best, to not berate Steve Shives in this video. Just wanted to throw that out there. Let's start the video.
What's killing the atheist movement? This rather melodramatic question was posed a week before last by David Smalley on an episode of Dogma Debate and a corresponding blog article. And it was responded to by PZ Myers, and then David and PZ appeared together on the next episode of Dogma Debate, and they sort of had a debate about it. And some other people who were involved in the situation that precipitated David Smalley to write that blog post and ask that question wrote their own commentaries on it, and I have a bunch of stuff linked in the description box of this video that you can listen to and read if you want. What I'm going to say is not a direct response to any of it, but all of it has sort of got me to think about a few things that are related to the question of what is wrong with the atheist movement, or what is killing the atheist movement, if indeed something is killing it. And questions about how we approach conflict with other atheists, and all sorts of other things that I have talked about a little bit before in the past, but I've just had these sorts of questions and problems churning around in my head for the last 2 weeks while thinking about this problem, this issue. So I'm going to just blather on about it for a few minutes, and if you want to know a little bit more about what has inspired me to talk about this right now, the links are in the description box. You can check it out for yourself.
Okay, so I want to warn all of you right now that haven't seen this video that Steve is not going to show any evidence whatsoever, make straw mans left and right, and make a zero attempt to have any sort of debate on this topic. You'll see it left and right several times in this video, but I just wanted to let you all know that.
First of all, I don't think anything is killing the atheist movement. But I do think there are some things holding the atheist movement back. And what is holding the movement back from making that progress? Well, in the minds of some people, one of the things holding us back is that it's too difficult for atheists to get along. We fight amongst each other too much. We have too many inter-atheist squabbles. And that keeps us from focusing on the big picture issues and making progress. And to an extent, I agree. But when some of the most visible members of the atheist community are blatant anti-feminists and rape apologists, or use their platforms to espouse racism, just flat out racism, or use their platforms to incite abuse and harassment against others, to take part in cyberbullying, to attempt to use their mob of followers to silence other people. These are not trivial problems to me. And these are not people. The people who engage in that type of behavior, they are fellow atheists of mine, unfortunately. I'm embarrassed to say that, but they are fellow atheists of mine.
All right. Do you want to elaborate on that? Like, which YouTubers are you talking about? Which atheists? Can you bring up some examples? Like, come on, Steve, call some people out right now. These evil, nebulous people who are making the atheist movement look bad. Who are they? I'm curious. Like, you're talking about The Amazing Atheist, Jacqueline Glenn, Cult of Dusty, Thunderfoot, Mr. Repzion, Armored Skeptic. Who the fuck are you talking about?
I have no interest in getting along with them. I have no interest in making peace with them. I don't want to unify with them, and I don't particularly want to be a part of an atheist movement that seeks to unify with them.
Okay, then just leave the movement then. Like, don't associate with them at all. Like, I'm not being facetious or anything. If you have this huge grievance with them and this community, then just leave it. Like, don't even talk about it. Just say, you know what, fuck these people. I don't want any part of it anymore. It's not even worth my time. Just do that. It's not that hard, and it kind of solves your problem not having to deal with them anymore.
One of the problems, I think, with the atheist movement, and one of the things that is holding it back, is not that we can't get along. It's that the perception is that we as a group are perfectly fine with the loud, obnoxious, bullying, bigoted members of our group. We'll just pretend they aren't there, even though they have, in many cases, hundreds of thousands of followers on social media and are leaving a very large footprint in atheist circles and are having a great deal of influence on the voice and the character of the atheist community and the atheist movement as it is perceived, especially from the outside.
Huh. Kind of sounds a little similar to the feminist movement, doesn't it? Like, that actually is a really good depiction of the feminist movement, of course, but you're not going to make that connection at all, right? Right? Even though you could literally make that connection to that movement, you're just going to ignore that because you've made it taboo to criticize feminism and just block anybody who has that problem with that community, right? That's okay.
If we're disagreeing over pizza toppings, okay. We can get past that. If we're disagreeing over which team we're going to root for in the World Series, you know what? I'll pull for the Orioles. You pull for the Cubs. That is not necessarily a prediction, by the way. And may the best team win. No problem, right? We can get past that. That's not anything that's going to cause a schism that can't possibly be closed. But if one side is pushing misogynist bullshit, if one side is pushing harmful false narratives about women or about black folks or about Muslims or about name your marginalized group, and the other side is people saying, oh, hey, that's not cool, I don't think that's a disagreement that can or should be reconciled.
Evidence to this, Steve? I'm still waiting. I know you're not going to present any, but some would be nice. And also, why? Why isn't that worth a discussion? Because it goes against your narrative? I'm sorry, but as an agnostic atheist, and you yourself being an atheist, you should know that there isn't an absolute moral standard, Steve. Not all atheists, theists, Jews, blacks, women, gays, or whatever the fuck are going to be on the same page about everything, especially in large groups. Of course you do know this, you're just being duplicitous about it.
I don't think a disagreement over whether or not racism is still a problem in our modern society is a trivial disagreement that we should just sweep aside. Because that disagreement and the assumptions that underlie that disagreement will have ramifications throughout the community, throughout the movement. How welcome do you think black non-believers would feel in an atheist community, an atheist movement, where the majority of white atheists believe that racism isn't really a problem and that black folks just need to suck it up and grow up and just deal with their problems and stop trying to talk about systemic racism and institutional discrimination and all of these other things? How do you think that would make, how would you feel if you were in that situation, if you were a black non-believer and you found that attitude among white folks in your group to be very prevalent? Or at least, if not prevalent in terms of the number of people who hold those attitudes, at least a very loud portion of your movement was trumpeting that attitude, or was nodding their head. We're nodding their heads and we're saying, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay, but I'm not a black non-believer, and this is just some imaginary scenario concocted by you. Why not just use an actual example for a point of reference or something? Like, if it's the majority of the atheist community doing this, then you could show this happening, right? Like, I think it's worth discussing the whole racism in America thing, because I hold the belief that the US right now isn't as racist as you say it is, but according to you, I'm just wrong, and I should just go fuck myself. That I'm a racist and I have no clue what I'm talking about, right? That is complete bullshit.
Or when you bring it up to them and when you say, hey, I'm kind of worried about this atheist over here with the big YouTube channel who is saying that racism isn't a problem and that black people shouldn't really talk about it, or that black people need to just, not stop trying to get everybody to talk about racism, all that really bothers me. And you bring that up to maybe one of your white atheist friends and they say, that's no worry about it, no big deal. Stop, let's talk about something important.
Well, that big atheist channel doesn't represent every single fucking atheist, dude. Like, we're not a hive mind. If they have a problem with what that atheist is saying, then they don't have to listen, or they can just voice their opinion on the internet, Like, I won't block them and disable their comment because I disagree with them, like you do, but I'm not seeing the point of this video right now. Like, this is just gibberish to me.
How do you think that would make you feel? Or if you were a woman and you tried to raise the issue of sexism in the movement, and you were constantly shushed, or your concerns were minimized, or people were pointing out things like, oh, well, but there's a woman who's the head of this organization, and what about this YouTube channel is owned by a woman, and she's really popular in the atheist community. So see, I think you're worried about nothing. How do you think that would make somebody feel? How would you feel if you were in the situation of that hypothetical woman?
Yeah, but I'm not a woman, and you're not either, so you probably shouldn't speak on women's behalf, Steve, because that would be mansplaining and misogynistic now, wouldn't it? Like, these scenarios right now that you're presenting just kind of remind me of, like, arguments for, like, the death penalty. And it's like, well, you don't support the death penalty. Well, what if your family was murdered? What if they were all murdered in cold blood? Then would you support it? And it's like, it's just a stupid argument, Steve. Also, constantly shushed, huh? Like how feminists shush anybody regardless if they're a man or a woman about feminism, if they have a problem with it. Like, you're seriously shooting yourself in the foot in this video, Steve. Like, seriously.
And how would you feel if someone said, you know, you're just sowing conflict. You just need to learn to get along with people. You need to learn to be more tolerant of disagreement. Speaking of false narratives, there's a false narrative I've had my fill of. The idea that the source of the conflict between the so-called SJW types in the atheist movement and the so-called alt-right types, or the more what I would call the toxic faction, that the source of it is just, well, the SJW types, they can't handle disagreement. When I moderate my comment sections on my videos, and I've been very open about that. I moderate comments on my videos. I use the block button and the mute button very liberally on Twitter. And when I use those functions to screen people out of my platforms, or to ignore people who I have decided I don't want to talk to or I don't want to hear from, I've never done it just because someone disagreed with me. I have done it to people who disagree with me about stuff, but never for trivial disagreements.
I love the fact that you're blatantly stating what a crybaby you are on this, because if someone disagrees with me, I'ma block their ass. Like, okay, Steve, well, here's a scenario for you. What if you're talking with someone about feminism or whatever the hell, and they just blocked you, or muted you, because they didn't want to hear what you have to say, or they thought, well, you know, you're not worth my time. You'd probably make a YouTube video bitching and moaning about it, but you wouldn't like that, would you? So why the fuck would you do it to others? Because you don't like what they have to say? Oh, but just as long as they support your ideas and your movement, only then is it fine, right? Only then will you approve that comment.
Disagreements about important stuff. Disagreements about whether or not feminism is a positive force in our culture, or whether it's cancer.
I would disagree and say that it's a relevant question. You don't get to decide who gets to say what, when they say it, and how they say it. That's not how this works, Steve. That's not how life works. If you don't like it, then you can just stop making these dumb videos. You can just stop talking about this subject and just make videos about something else. Like, Steve, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be an ass right now, but this video is fucking horrible. I really don't understand what you're doing in this.
Disagreements on whether racism and white supremacy are actual problems in our society that need to be addressed, or whether they're just figments of oversensitive black folks' imaginations.
You do not get to control the narrative. You do not get to decide about who talks about what. People can talk about whatever they goddamn well please, whenever they want.
See, I don't consider that a trivial disagreement. And I don't consider those ideas, the ideas of people who want to push those narratives, that racism is no longer a problem, that sexism isn't a problem, or at least that sexism isn't a problem in the West.
Yeah, and that's just your opinion, and you're allowed to have it. But anybody else who doesn't think that, well, you're wrong, because Steve Shives says it's wrong, and Steve Shives is right about everything. This video is proof of that fact of life. So next time you think, well, I mean, America isn't really that racist and misogynistic as it was like 50 or 100 years ago, really, and there are worse countries than ours who do these type of things, just throw that thought away and just remember what Steve Shives told you. You racist, misogynistic piece of shit. I'm getting tired of this video.
I have no interest in hosting those ideas on my platforms, and I have no interest in wasting time talking to people who hold those ideas. And I would really like it if the atheist movement and the atheist community in general were way less accepting and tolerant of people with those ideas, because those ideas are repugnant and awful.
Okay, then stop talking about it. Talk about other shit instead of wasting everyone's time right now.
And bigoted and backwards, and they are holding us back. The atheist movement, for those of you who don't know, is a human rights movement. The atheist movement, despite how some people might try to characterize it, despite how strenuously some people might try to deny it, despite how uncomfortable this term makes some people, is a social justice movement. And a social justice movement cannot be successful if it includes and embraces and tolerates viewpoints from people who consider the very concept of social justice to be cancerous.
Oh my god, not everything is black and white and you're acting like everything is black and white right now. Steve, I find it funny that when it comes to feminism doing awful shit, you go, oh, well, they're just fringe members of the group and they don't represent us, it's just a minority. But when it comes to the atheist movement, because they have some grievances with your ideas and how you do things, it's the majority of the atheist community who are being these assholes and invoking harmful ideas. Like, you just get to decide what the majority and what the minority is.
Here's a thought. If you are a member of the atheist movement, you are active in some way, you're an activist, you are an organizer, you write a blog or host a podcast or host a YouTube channel, and your response to the toxic atheists, the ones that spew racism and misogyny and religious bigotry, if your response to them is silence, but your response to those who speak out against them is to caution them about sowing discord and dividing the community, I think it's you who are holding the movement back.
Man, it's fun making straw men, isn't it? God, it's so easy, man, I tell you. Oh, and when it comes to my channel, anybody can say whatever the fuck they want. Any ideas, it's a free platform, doesn't matter what their opinion is, even if it is harmful. Like, they still have the right to say it, regardless if I agree with them or not. Regardless if I like that or not. But maybe I should just block them and mute them, right? That'll make me look like the good guy, huh? Because what they said was mean and hurtful. Oh no!
Conflict that I've been referring to in this video, this conflict between the more socially conscious atheists and the toxic, asshole, obnoxious, bigoted, bullying atheists, this conflict is not what is holding the atheist movement back. What is holding the atheist movement back is that there are too many atheists in the group, including relatively prominent members of the group, who are treating the conflict as though it's trivial. This is not a trivial conflict, and the result of this conflict will determine not only the character, but the ultimate fate of this movement. And if you're someone who wants to see the atheist movement grow in influence and relevance, eventually, you are going to have to come around and accept the fact that not all of the disagreements that separate atheists from other atheists are trivial disagreements. Some of them are downright fundamental. And the question of what kind of a movement we are going to be is maybe the most fundamental question that activists or would-be activists in the atheist movement can wrestle with. Are we going to be a serious, legitimate social justice human rights movement? Or are we going to be a movement that tolerates and tacitly supports, or in some cases explicitly supports, people who spew racism and misogyny and rape apology and religious bigotry?
Oh my god, Steve, I'm so sick of your diatribe right now. You know what, why don't you come over here and you can join this group right over here, Steve. Join this little safe space of people who spew nonsense left and right. You've got a new member, everybody! Woohoo! Yeah, new member! Woo, yeah! Yeah!
We can't be both. We have to be one or the other.
If you're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
And wanting to be the former, wanting to be the legitimate social justice movement, does not require us to become an echo chamber, does not require us to sacrifice our ideological diversity. A real legitimate social justice movement, like feminism.
There it is. There it is. Thank you for showing everyone right now your true colors and your hypocrisy and your bias, Steve. Thank you. Just not self-aware at all, folks. Doesn't even look in the mirror. Not self-aware at all.
Or like the Black Lives Matter movement, is a place that plays host to energetic, vigorous debates. That is a place of great disagreement, of great ideological diversity. Anyone who tells you that feminists practice some form of groupthink and don't tolerate dissent either doesn't know anything about feminism or is someone who is selling you a bill of goods.
Yeah, keep stretching the ego of those movements, Steve, because we all know there isn't anything wrong with them whatsoever. Like, no other community in the world has their problems. It's only the atheist movement, the feminist movement, Black Lives Matter movement, any other movement or any other community, they're all fine. There's nothing wrong with them. But the atheist movement? Oh man, let me tell you what's wrong with them.
Is someone who is trying to mischaracterize a movement in order to legitimize his own bigotry by saying, oh, those feminists, they didn't like what I had to say. What a bunch of group thinkers. What a bunch of special snowflakes. What an echo chamber they have over there. Legitimate social justice movements like feminism, like Black Lives Matter, like LGBTQ justice movements are very tolerant and welcoming of disagreement, of legitimate disagreement. Not so tolerant of bigotry, not so tolerant of bullying, not so tolerant of harassment. So, atheist movement, we can be one or the other. We can be a serious, legitimate movement that will actually do some good for people, or it can be a clubhouse for assholes. It's got to be one or the other. Can't be both. And it's not just the assholes that are holding us back, although the assholes are definitely doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. It's also the people that make excuses for the assholes and that tell people to stop complaining so much about the assholes. You're causing too much conflict. You want to know what's holding back atheism? I don't know if anything's killing it quite yet, but you want to know what's holding it back? The assholes and their apologists. That's what's holding it back.
Okay, it's over. It's over. Wow. Just wow. Just wow. So there you have it. The Steve Shives diatribe. Like that was an ordeal to get through. Like this video and his statements were just garbage and stupid. Like, I'm sorry, but this video really pissed me off and rubbed me the wrong way. Like, he'll put a label on everybody else and label them this, that, and the other, but the minute you don't want to accept that label, apparently you're the back, no. I'm done with this video. I'm done. This video has gone long enough already. I could go on a huge tangent about this, and I already have. But there you have it. My response to Steve. I'm gonna go now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment anything you want, because I won't, mute or block you. You can say anything you want. And I guess I'll see you all in my next video.